Deep in the shadows of the UK's most haunted forests, restless spirits wander, ancient curses linger, and unsolved mysteries whisper through the trees. From ghostly monks to phantom armies, these woods hide secrets that defy explanation. But beware, some who enter never return the same. Tonight, we uncover 10 terrifying true hauntings that will make you question every rustle of leaves and every snap of a twig. Are these just legends, or could something supernatural truly be waiting in the darkness? Press play, if you dare. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers before Halloween. Hit that subscribe button and join our ghost hunting community, because the more subscribers we have, the deeper we'll go into the world's darkest hauntings. Don't miss out. 1. The Black Shuck of Thetford Forest. Thetford Forest, located in East Anglia, is one of the UK's most haunted woodlands, and its most famous ghost story is the terrifying legend of Black Shuck. This demonic black dog, with glowing red eyes, has been seen for centuries, striking fear into those who cross its path. Many believe that encountering Black Shuck is a bad omen, often leading to death or disaster. The legend dates back to the 16th century, with reports of a hellish hound roaming the countryside, attacking people, and vanishing into the mist. One of the most famous sightings happened in 1577 at St. Mary's Church in Bungay, where Black Shuck burst through the doors during a storm, killing 2 worshippers and leaving claw marks that can still be seen today. People walking through Thetford Forest at night have reported hearing deep growls, feeling an unseen presence, and even seeing the shadowy figure of a massive dog with burning eyes. Some say the ghostly beast guards ancient burial sites or is the spirit of a cursed soul. Others believe it is a supernatural guardian, warning people of danger. The forest itself has a dark history, with tales of witchcraft, secret rituals, and unexplained disappearances adding to its haunted reputation. Even today, visitors claim to feel sudden chills, hear phantom barks, or see glowing eyes watching them from the trees. Scientists and skeptics say Black Shuck could be a trick of the light, a large stray dog, or just a scary story passed down through generations. But for those who have experienced the terror of seeing this ghostly hound, no explanation can shake their belief in its existence. Whether myth or reality, the legend of Black Shuck remains one of Britain's most chilling ghost stories, making Thetford Forest a place where even the bravest souls think twice before walking alone at night. 2. The Screaming Woods of Plucklay. Plucklay, a small village in Kent, holds the title of England's most haunted village, and its infamous Screaming Woods, officially known as Daring Woods, is at the heart of its terrifying reputation. Locals and visitors have reported spine-chilling screams, ghostly figures, and an overwhelming sense of dread in these woods, especially at night. The most famous legend is that of a highwayman who was killed here centuries ago. Some say he was stabbed, others believe he was hanged from a tree. His agonized screams are said to echo through the forest, as if his spirit is trapped in an endless moment of death. But the highwayman isn't the only ghost in these woods. Another tragic story tells of a gypsy woman who burned to death when her caravan caught fire. Her charred spirit is said to wander between the trees, crying out in pain. Some have even reported seeing flickering flames in the distance, only for them to vanish when approached. There's also the tale of a schoolmaster who hanged himself in the woods long ago. His ghost has been spotted swinging from a phantom noose before disappearing into the darkness. The woods themselves seem to have a strange energy. Visitors often describe sudden drops in temperature, unexplained whispers, and the feeling of being watched. Some have heard footsteps following them, only to turn and find no one there. Others have seen shadowy figures darting between the trees, their faces twisted in agony. Even during the day, the woods feel heavy with sadness, as if the land itself remembers the suffering that happened there. Paranormal investigators and ghost hunters frequently visit Plucklay, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many have recorded eerie voices on tape, strange lights in photos, and even full-bodied apparitions. But not all who enter the woods come out unscathed. Some claim to have been scratched or pushed by unseen hands, while others have fled in terror after hearing inhuman screams. Whether the Screaming Woods are truly haunted or just the product of centuries of ghost stories, one thing is certain: Plucklay's dark past and the horrors of Deering Woods continue to send shivers down the spines of those brave enough to step inside. If you ever find yourself near Kent after sunset, listen closely, you might just hear the echoes of the dead. 3. The Wickwood Forest Phantom. Deep in the ancient Wickwood Forest of Oxfordshire, a ghostly figure has been wandering for centuries, leaving behind a trail of fear and mystery. Known as the Wickwood Phantom, this eerie presence is often described as a tall, shadowy figure with hollow eyes that seem to stare right through anyone who crosses its path. Locals say the phantom is the restless spirit of a man who met a violent end in the woods long ago. Some believe he was a medieval poacher executed by the king's men, while others claim he was a traveler betrayed and murdered for his money. Whatever the truth, his spirit refuses to leave, silently drifting between the gnarled old trees as if searching for something, or someone. The forest itself has a dark and eerie atmosphere, even in daylight. Visitors often report sudden cold spots, the sound of faint whispering when no one is around, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Some have seen the phantom standing motionless among the trees, only for it to vanish when they blink. Others tell of hearing footsteps crunching on leaves behind them, but when they turn, the forest is empty. There are even stories of people getting lost in the woods despite knowing the area well, as if the phantom is leading them in circles, playing a cruel game with the living. One of the most chilling tales comes from a group of campers who swore they saw the phantom standing at the edge of their campfire light, its hollow eyes reflecting the flames. When they shouted at it, the figure didn't move, it simply faded into the darkness. That same night, they heard what sounded like a low, mournful wail echoing through the trees, a sound that couldn't have been made by any animal. They packed up and left before sunrise, too terrified to stay another minute. Historians say Wickwood Forest was once a place of ancient rituals and hidden burials, which might explain why so many ghostly sightings happen here. Some believe the phantom is tied to an old curse, doomed to walk the woods forever. Others think it might be a guardian spirit, warning people away from hidden dangers. Whatever the case, the Wickwood Phantom remains one of England's most enduring ghost stories, a silent watcher in the shadows of the trees. If you ever find yourself walking through Wickwood as the sun sets, keep looking over your shoulder, you might not be alone. For the ghostly monk of Cannock Chase. Cannock Chase in Staffordshire may look like a peaceful woodland, but it hides some of England's most chilling ghost stories. The most famous is the tale of the ghostly monk, a shadowy figure seen wandering near the ruins of an old monastery that once stood in these woods. Dressed in tattered robes with his face hidden in darkness, the monk appears suddenly before vanishing into thin air. Those who've seen him describe an overwhelming feeling of sadness, as if the spirit is trapped in eternal grief. Some believe he was a real monk who died tragically when the monastery was destroyed centuries ago, while others think he might be connected to secret religious ceremonies that took place in the forest long ago. The encounters with this ghostly figure are always unsettling. Walkers have reported seeing him standing perfectly still among the trees, watching them with unseen eyes. Some hear faint chanting or smell incense when no one is around. There are stories of people feeling an invisible hand touch their shoulder, only to turn and find the monk's robed figure disappearing into the mist. One particularly frightening account tells of a cyclist who saw the monk standing in the middle of the path at twilight. When he swerved to avoid him, the figure simply wasn't there anymore. Cannock Chase has other ghostly residents too, including the spirits of World War I soldiers and the infamous black-eyed child, but the ghostly monk remains the most frequently seen apparition. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange energy spikes in areas where he's been spotted, and some photographs show unexplained shadows near the old monastery ruins. What makes the monk different from other ghosts is the deep sense of history he carries. When people see him, they don't just feel fear, but a strange connection to the past, as if they're briefly touching another time. The woods themselves seem to hold memories of the ancient monastery. In certain spots, the air grows unnaturally cold even on warm days, and some visitors report hearing distant church bells where no churches exist. Whether the ghostly monk is a lost soul, a guardian of sacred ground, or something else entirely, his presence makes Cannock Chase one of Britain's most haunted forests. Those who walk its paths at dusk often find themselves glancing nervously at the trees, wondering if that dark shape among the branches is just a trick of the light, or something much older, and far more mysterious. 5. The Grey Lady of Eping Forest. Eping Forest, stretching between London and Essex, has been the setting for countless ghost stories, but none are as famous as the tragic tale of the Grey Lady. This sorrowful spirit is said to be the ghost of a young woman who died heartbroken in the forest centuries ago. Dressed in flowing grey robes that shimmer in the moonlight, she appears most often near Queen Elizabeth's hunting lodge, wandering the trees as if searching for something she lost forever. The most common version of her story says she was a noblewoman who fell in love with a commoner, and when their secret romance was discovered, her lover was killed and she died of grief soon after. Now her ghost lingers in the forest, forever separated from her true love. Those who have encountered the Grey Lady describe an overwhelming feeling of sadness that comes over them suddenly. She often appears near the old hunting lodge or along the forest paths, her head bowed as if weeping. Some witnesses report hearing faint sobbing sounds that seem to come from nowhere, while others have seen her gliding silently between the ancient trees before vanishing into thin air. There are several accounts of drivers passing through the forest at night who have had to swerve to avoid a woman in grey standing in the road, only to look back and find no one there. Eping Forest has other ghostly residents too, including the spirits of highwaymen and soldiers, but the Grey Lady stands out because of the deep emotion she brings with her. Paranormal investigators have recorded sudden temperature drops and strange energy fluctuations in areas where she's been seen. Some believe she appears more frequently around Valentine's Day, as if the memory of her lost love draws her spirit back more strongly at that time of year. What makes the Grey Lady's story especially haunting is how real she feels to those who encounter her. Unlike some ghosts that simply scare people, she seems to share her sadness with the living, leaving witnesses with a heavy heart long after she's gone. Whether she's truly the spirit of a heartbroken woman from centuries past or something else entirely, her presence has become part of Eping Forest's identity. Visitors walking through the ancient trees at dusk often find themselves looking over their shoulders, half expecting to see a glimpse of grey among the shadows, reminder that some loves, and some losses, never truly fade away. 6. The Dark Watchers of Sabernac Forest. Deep within the ancient depths of Sabernac Forest in Wiltshire, among thousand-year-old oak trees and twisting pathways, lurk the most unsettling paranormal phenomena in England, the Dark Watchers. These mysterious shadow figures have been reported for centuries, described as tall, featureless humanoid shapes that silently observe travelers from between the trees before vanishing without a trace. Unlike typical ghosts, they never approach or interact, they simply watch with unseen eyes, leaving witnesses with a bone-deep sense of being studied by something not quite human. Local legends say these entities have haunted Sabernac since pre-Christian times, possibly dating back to when druids performed rituals in the forest. Some believe they are guardians of the woodland, spirits tied to the ancient trees themselves. Others fear they are something far older and more mysterious, interdimensional beings or remnants of a forgotten civilization. The most disturbing accounts come from people who camped overnight in the forest and woke to find dark silhouettes standing motionless at the edge of their campsites, their presence causing an unnatural silence where even insects stop chirping. What makes the Dark Watchers particularly chilling is how consistently they are described across different centuries. Victorian accounts match modern sightings exactly: tall, shadowy figures that appear solid yet somehow absorb light rather than reflect it. Several witnesses report experiencing temporary blindness or camera malfunctions when attempting to photograph them. Forest rangers have documented cases of visitors becoming inexplicably lost in areas they knew well, only to later describe seeing the tall dark ones just before becoming disoriented. The most active area appears to be near the famous Big Belly Oak, a 1,100-year-old tree rumored to be a focal point for supernatural activity. Here, multiple witnesses have reported seeing not just individual watchers, but entire groups of the shadow figures standing in circles among the trees at dusk. Some paranormal investigators speculate these manifestations might be connected to ley lines crossing beneath the forest, or residual energy from the forest's long history as a royal hunting ground where many violent deaths occurred. Unlike traditional ghost stories with clear origins, the Dark Watchers remain completely unexplained. The forest's dense canopy and twisting paths create an environment where light behaves strangely, leading skeptics to dismiss sightings as tricks of shadow and imagination. Yet those who have encountered them swear these are no natural phenomena. The figures move with purpose, appear solid from all angles, and leave witnesses with an overwhelming sense of having been in the presence of something ancient and utterly alien. Whether protective spirits, interdimensional beings, or something beyond human understanding, the Dark Watchers continue their silent vigil in Sabernac Forest, reminding us that some mysteries in England's oldest woodlands may never be solved. 7. The Headless Horsemen of Damir Forest. Damir Forest in Cheshire hides one of England's most terrifying ghost stories, the legend of the Headless Horseman. For centuries, visitors to these woods have reported hearing the thunder of ghostly hooves and seeing a headless rider on a black horse charging through the trees, his cloak billowing behind him like smoke. The stories say he was once a nobleman or soldier who lost his head in battle or was betrayed and executed, and now his spirit is doomed to forever ride through the forest, searching for what he lost. Some versions claim he carries his own severed head under his arm, its eyes still blinking and mouth still moving as if trying to speak. The sightings usually happen at dusk or on foggy mornings, when the forest is wrapped in mist. People describe hearing the horse first, a sudden pounding of hooves that seems to come from nowhere, growing louder until it feels like the rider is right behind them. When they turn to look, they see the dark shape of the horseman looming through the trees, his neck ending in nothing but shadows. Some witnesses say the air turns icy cold as he passes, and others report smelling a strange metallic scent, like old blood. There are tales of people who tried to run from him, only to find themselves lost in parts of the forest they'd never seen before, as if the horseman had led them into some otherworldly version of the woods. One of the most chilling encounters happened in the 1800s, when a group of loggers swore they saw the horseman galloping straight toward them. As he passed, one man claimed to see the rider's severed head turn to look at him, its lips curling into a smile before the whole apparition vanished into thin air. More recently, a cyclist reported being chased by the horseman at night. He pedaled frantically until he reached the forest's edge, where the sound of hooves suddenly stopped. When he looked back, the path was empty. Damir Forest has other ghostly legends, including the whispers of Roman soldiers and the cries of lost children, but the Headless Horseman is the most feared. Paranormal investigators have recorded strange energy spikes and unexplained sounds in areas where he's been seen, and some believe his appearances are tied to ancient burial sites hidden in the forest. Whether he's a lost soul, a warning of danger, or something more supernatural, one thing is certain: if you're walking through Damir as the sun sets and you hear hooves behind you, don't look back. Just run. 8. The Witch's Curse of Puzzlewood. Deep in the ancient forest of Puzzlewood in Gloucestershire, where twisted trees grow over moss-covered boulders and mist clings to the ground like ghostly fingers, lies one of Britain's most enduring supernatural legends, the Witch's Curse. For centuries, locals have whispered about a powerful witch who once lived among these woods, practicing dark magic and placing terrible curses on those who crossed her. When villagers finally drove her out, she swore vengeance, vowing that her spirit would never leave Puzzlewood. To this day, visitors report strange happenings: cold spots that move against the wind, whispers in a language no one understands, and the overwhelming feeling of being watched from the shadows. The most common sighting is of a hunched old woman in tattered robes, seen darting between the trees or standing motionless among the rocky outcrops. Those who've encountered her say her eyes glow faintly in the dark, and her mouth moves as if chanting, though no sound comes out. Some believe she's not just a ghost but something more dangerous, a spirit still capable of working magic. There are stories of people who mocked the legend only to suffer bizarre misfortunes afterward. Lost belongings, unexplained scratches, or vivid nightmares that felt more like warnings. Even animals behave strangely in certain parts of the forest. Dogs growl at empty spaces, and birds suddenly fall silent as if something unseen has disturbed them. Puzzlewood's eerie landscape adds to its haunted reputation. The place looks like something from a fairy tale, with gnarled roots snaking over ancient stone formations and fog that rolls in unnaturally fast. Some say the witch's magic twisted the very land itself, creating the maze-like paths that confuse visitors to this day. There are spots where compasses spin wildly, phones lose signal, and cameras capture strange orbs of light. The most haunted area is near a mossy cave known as the Witch's Kitchen, where people report hearing faint laughter or the sound of something being stirred in a pot, though no one is there. What makes the legend so chilling is how many modern sightings match centuries-old accounts. In the 1800s, villagers avoided Puzzlewood after dark, claiming the witch's ghost would lead travelers astray until they became hopelessly lost. Today, forest rangers still occasionally find dazed visitors who insist they were following a path that suddenly vanished, or who swear they saw an old woman beckoning to them from places no living person could reach. Whether the curse is real or just a story, Puzzlewood holds on to its secrets fiercely. Visitors leave with one unanimous piece of advice: never go off the marked trails, never take anything from the forest, and if you hear a woman's voice whispering your name among the trees, don't answer. The witch may be gone, but her presence lingers, and in Puzzlewood, some say the trees themselves remember the old magic. 9. The Phantom Army of Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest in Nottinghamshire is famous for the legends of Robin Hood, but few know about its darker secret, the ghostly soldiers who march silently through the trees at night. These phantom warriors are said to be the spirits of men who died in long-forgotten battles, their souls forever trapped in the forest where they fell. Visitors have reported hearing the clank of armor, the distant sound of war horns, and even seeing full apparitions of armed men moving between the ancient oaks before vanishing like mist in the wind. The most common sightings happen near the major oak, the famous 1,000-year-old tree where Robin Hood supposedly hid. People describe feeling sudden chills and hearing the muffled sounds of marching feet, as if an invisible army is passing by. Some have seen shadowy figures in chainmail standing guard beneath the tree's massive branches, their hollow eyes scanning the forest as if still on watch. Others report hearing the faint clash of swords or desperate shouts in Old English, as if the echoes of a medieval battle are replaying over and over again. One of the most terrifying encounters happened to a group of campers in the 1990s. They woke to the sound of horses galloping and men yelling, as if a cavalry charge was heading straight for their tents. When they ran outside, the forest was silent and empty, but the ground trembled beneath their feet as if hundreds of hooves had just passed by. Another witness, historian studying the forest, claimed to have seen a group of spectral archers firing arrows into the darkness, their weapons making no sound as they released their phantom shots. Historians believe these ghosts might be connected to real battles that took place in Sherwood over the centuries. The forest was a battleground during the English Civil War, and long before that, Viking raiders and Saxon warriors clashed among its trees. Some paranormal investigators think the forest's ancient energy acts like a recording, preserving these violent moments and replaying them for those sensitive enough to notice. Others believe the soldiers are lost souls, still fighting a war that ended centuries ago. Sherwood's phantom army doesn't appear every night, but when they do, the effect is unforgettable. The air grows heavy, the normal sounds of the forest disappear, and an overwhelming sense of dread settles over anyone nearby. Some visitors have even reported feeling hands shoving them or hearing angry whispers in their ears, as if the ghosts resent the living for disturbing their eternal patrol. Whether they're echoes of the past or restless spirits, one thing is certain: Sherwood Forest belongs to more than just the living. When the sun sets and the shadows grow long among the oaks, the phantom soldiers return to their posts, keeping watch over a battle that never truly ended. 10. The Lost Children of Wismans Wood. Deep in the heart of Dartmoor, where the twisted oak trees of Wismans would grow low and gnarled over moss-covered boulders, there exists one of England's most sorrowful ghost stories. For centuries, travelers passing through this ancient, stunted forest have reported hearing the faint voices of children calling for help, voices that seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. These are the lost children, spirits said to belong to a group of village kids who vanished in the woods hundreds of years ago during a terrible storm. Some say they got lost in the fog that often blankets these woods, while others believe they were taken by something far more sinister that lurks among the twisted trees. The encounters always follow the same pattern. Hikers will be walking through the eerie landscape when suddenly they'll hear a child's voice calling, "Help me," or "I can't find my way." The voice sounds close, sometimes even right beside them, but when they turn to look, there's never anyone there. Others have reported seeing small, shadowy figures darting between the mossy rocks, always just out of reach, always disappearing the moment you try to approach. The most chilling accounts come from those who've tried to follow the voices. They describe suddenly finding themselves going in circles, the forest seeming to shift around them, as if the woods themselves are keeping the children hidden. Wismans Wood has always had a reputation for being unnatural. The dwarf oaks grow in strange, twisted shapes, their branches looking almost like grasping hands in the dim light. The ground is covered in a thick carpet of moss that muffles footsteps, creating an eerie silence broken only by the occasional cry of a raven. Even in broad daylight, the air feels heavy, and many visitors report feeling watched from the moment they enter. Some believe the wood was considered sacred by the Druids long ago, and that whatever power they worship there still lingers, keeping the lost children trapped between worlds. Modern paranormal investigators have recorded dozens of electronic voice phenomena in the woods, clear, childlike voices saying, "I'm cold," or "Where's Mummy," when no living children are present. Thermal cameras have captured cold spots shaped like small human figures, and many photographs show strange misty forms that seem to resemble children's faces. The most disturbing evidence comes from a 2012 investigation where a recorder picked up the sound of several children singing a nursery rhyme, a rhyme that hadn't been used in centuries, dating back to the time when the children first disappeared. Whether these spirits are truly lost souls or something else entirely, one thing is certain: Wismans Wood holds on to its secrets tightly. The locals have long believed that the forest is a living thing, and that it sometimes keeps people who wander too far into its depths. Those who've heard the children's voices say the experience leaves them with a deep sadness that lingers for days, as if they've brushed against a tragedy that time cannot heal. If you ever find yourself walking through Wismans Wood and hear a child call your name, resist the urge to answer, because in this haunted grove, not all voices that call out belong to the living, and not all who enter find their way back out again.